$1 trillion.
What I remember most about it, the days and weeks and months after, is the smell. I don't know what that smell is. Jet fuel mixed with burning steel, mixed with human tragedy. I remember thinking how small the city felt, how sad the city was. Oh God, it was sad.
There were hundreds of funerals that were packed with New Yorkers who had never met these firefighters before, and I think that says a lot about the healing that went on here. We all wanted to feel like we were doing our part to say thank you.
Oh, say, can you see?
This is Yankee Stadium in the Bronx. Down below us, a Prayer for America memorial service here in New York.
What so proudly we hailed.
In the days since this attack, we have met the worst of humanity with the best of humanity. We pray for all of those whose loved ones are lost and missing. We pray for our children, and we say to them, do not be afraid. It's safe to live your life.
I became a New Yorker in a day. After 10 years of fighting it and not getting it, I fell in love with it. I fell in love with New Yorkers. I was so proud of how they were dealing with this terrible thing.
They were committed from the very beginning to deliver their city from the ashes and build it back up again, come hell or high water.
Ago today that American Airlines Flight 11 took off from Boston for Los Angeles and crashed into the North Tower of the World Trade Center. There's been a remarkable spirit of unity in this country since the September 11th attacks.
My fellow citizens, for the last 9 days, the entire world has seen for itself the state of our union, and it is strong. Tonight, we are a country awakened to danger and called to defend freedom.
We have now learned that the U.S. Army is sending out deployment orders to units. It will involve various commando units, including the Rangers, the Special Forces, units that they call Special Ops.
It was another painstaking day for recovery workers at the World Trade Center disaster site as more victims are confirmed dead.
Our grief has turned to anger, and anger to resolution.
These terrorist cowards are not going to be allowed to break our spirit. In fact, they made a very big mistake.
Whether we bring our enemies to justice or bring justice to our enemies, justice will be done.
It was a perfect speech. I don't know that any president has ever given a speech where more of the country wanted him to succeed.
Every nation in every region now has a decision to make. Either you are with us or you are with the terrorists.
President Bush is warning the Taliban that time is running out for them to surrender suspected terrorist mastermind Osama bin Laden.
Welcome to all the journalist community.
Afghanistan's Taliban rulers say they won't give up Osama bin Laden without evidence, if at all.
If infidels invade an Islamic country, jihad becomes the religious obligation of all Muslims.
We strongly condemn this most brutal and horrible act of terror and violence.
Much unrest now in Pakistan over the government's alliance that it has formed with the Bush administration.
The hard work of building this international coalition continues today. The State Department
We've also had conversations with the Portuguese Foreign Minister, the Saudi Foreign Minister, Moroccan, Tunisian.
Secretary Powell, more than 80 telephone calls, we are told, in the past 10 days to world leaders, his counterparts, other heads of states.
The Bush administration realized very quickly that they could not conduct a global war on terror or even a war in Afghanistan without building up a coalition.
I want to thank the Chancellor for his solidarity with the American people.
A coalition of sympathy and support that was a broad coalition that encompassed not just Western democracies, but also Muslim states.
What I am told by senior administration officials is the Pakistani government has promised to, quote, fully cooperate.
The Bush administration needed these countries, and it was remarkable how almost seamlessly and smoothly this incredible coalition was built up.
Our war is against evil, not against Islam. We don't hold any religion accountable. We're fighting evil.
There's an old rule in politics, whether you're trying to sell a tax plan or whatever message you're trying to sell, it's repetition, 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 repetition.
We do not fight against Islam. We fight against evil.
Today we are releasing the photographs of 19 hijackers of the planes that crashed into the World Trade Center towers, into the Pentagon, and into the rural area in Pennsylvania.
You finally saw the faces of evil, people who carried out the most mind-boggling attack and assault on America, who had claimed so many innocent lives, looking into the eyes of these hijackers.
According to experts who've studied suicide bombing for a long time, these people aren't crazy, they're very rational, they've thought this out. And that's the scary thing, because it's very difficult to spot a rational actor out there who's willing to take his life to take out thousands of people.
The spirit of America is incredibly strong.
The administration, both from a psychological standpoint and from an economic standpoint, thought that it was imperative to try to make the case that it was safe to fly again.
We are serious about airline safety in America.
You had Bush himself go out to Chicago and do the rally at the airport.
Get on the airlines, get about the business of America.
We got the impression from listening to him that it was our patriotic duty to get back to work, to get in the air, to take that business trip, even though you really don't want to.
The Federal Emergency Management Agency, or FEMA, ended its search and recovery efforts at the World Trade Center ruins today.
When FEMA announced officially that the search for survivors was over, it was a very sad time.
It's an inevitable stage. You have to reach it. But it is a terrible point to reach, because then you are admitting to the families, and they have to admit to themselves that that dream, that fantasy, that their loved one is going to be found unconscious, or maybe in a hospital room and unable to communicate, or maybe trapped in a void, that moment is gone.